most important thing to your life. How do we change this? How do we change the culture to this greed, the fact that this thing that ain't even real, money, that's the single most important thing to your life. And adults, if I go, and I've asked this question from Qatar to Compton, and I'll ask the question and they'll say family, happiness, my dog, my husband, and I'm like, no, it's oxygen. So how many people here as a child you got a lesson in breathing? Not one hand is up. Why is that? And the beautiful thing about that is around the world. That how's the single most important thing in your life, to your life, you're not trained in. We just take it for granted. And the beautiful thing is, how's the single most important thing to your life is something you can't even see. But just imagine if we all knew the power that we had. If everybody knew that, why don't we pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance. Why don't we pledge allegiance to Mother Nature? Why are we pledging allegiance to these symbols? Why are we pledging allegiance to real shit that matters? Like air. And so with this, has your doctor ever told you, you go in, you got high blood pressure? Did your doctor ever tell you, why don't you try breathing? Why don't you try these different techniques of breathing? And this will change your heart rate by your breathing. Thus, it will change the flow of your blood. Thus, will change your blood pressure. Have you ever gotten told something that simple, that we all possess this? So I say this to make people think. We have to think different. We have to think about the things that we've been trained to value. Most of the things that we've been trained to value, they don't serve us. They serve other people, and mostly corporations. The fact that we don't know how to breathe and we don't know how to take care of ourselves, who does that serve? Gardens, to me, don't equate to food. Gardens, to me, equate to freedom. That's when I plant a garden. Everybody's asking me about the yield and how much weight, and I don't care. I don't measure how much that. I don't care about that. I care about the lessons in that garden that you learn. That's what makes a difference to me. And that's if we train ourselves, and if we train kids to have an appreciation for gardening, for where their food comes from, that's how we're going to change the community. Because with that, we're changing culture. Right now, we're living the culture that someone has designed for us that doesn't serve us. I was at a mayor's conference, and I asked them, why are underserved communities underserved? And it's, it's because it starts with, and I'm like, no, it doesn't start with, no. I said, and this is what I said to them. I said, underserved communities are underserved because you don't fucking serve them. Yeah. It's the only reason. Because all of a sudden when that community, the complexion changes, all of a sudden everything is there. Everything is convenient. Why is that? Because you didn't care about the people that were there before. No, so let's try to change that. So if they're not going to serve you, what do? You become a gangster and you serve yourself. And that's what I did. That's how my story started. I didn't have anywhere to go in my neighborhood to buy fresh, wholesome, organic produce. And so you just it's over there. So that's where you go. You just prepare yourself and you go over there to get it because it's over there. It's not convenient to you like in other communities. You go to other communities to get something that should be in your community. And that's what. And one day I was just driving. I'm like, why am I going over here to buy this? This should be convenient to me too. I should be able to just grab it, and I got an organic apple in my hand that doesn't cost $6. And that's one of the things. It was a lot of little things, a lot of little a lot of little breadcrumbs. That got me to where I am today. And that was the big one. And I said, okay, since it's not here, I'm gonna put it here. So that began my fight, where I planted, you guys, verges. Is it what? Berms? The berms where the grass is in front of your house. We call them parkways. So I planted. I put. I started planting food on my parkway. I took out the grass that I got tired of paying this. Well, it was actually weeds, and I was paying this guy every couple of weeks to mow my weeds, and water my weeds, and it was just a waste of money. And I said I can do it myself. And then I thought, why don't I put food out here? Why don't I put food out here for everybody? And that's what I did. And I got an arrest warrant the first time. And I did it again years later because, of course, they forgot about it, Somebody else, a neighbor reported me, and it happened again years later. I got another arrest warrant, and this time they weren't going to. I tried to fight it, but they like, oh, they went back in the records and saw that he did this again. This guy is hard-headed, He doesn't understand that we don't want his neighborhood to be healthy. And I didn't get arrested. I had a warrant, but I did go to court. We had a law that you could not plant edibles on a parkway. You couldn't plant edibles. It's the only thing that basically could go there was grass or certain things that had a certain height limit and things like that. And feel free. Thank you. If you have questions, I don't want this to be up here me talking blah 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 like I know what the hell I'm talking about, because I don't. But don't tell nobody because they pay me for it. The second time, I'm like, I'm not taking my garden out, because I had banana trees and agapanthus and butterflies and hummingbirds kissing me on my shoulders every morning. And it was just a beautiful thing, And I told him, I'm not taking it out. Do what you're gonna do. And I fought him. And I didn't know how I was gonna win. I just knew that I wasn't stopping. And you're not making me take this out, because it's what it had done for my community in the time that it was there was just beautiful. I mean, to me, it was a social experience. And if you put beauty in, you get beauty out. But if something is constantly ugly, if something has trash, if it's litter and condoms and cigarette butts all over, people think that that's the norm. So guess what they do? That's how they treat it. And if you see trash somewhere, they think the trash belongs there. But if you put beauty somewhere, let's see if that works. Let's see if now if we change people's consciousness and they realize that maybe beauty should be here. And all of a sudden, that's what happened. People will walk out of their way to come by my garden, to walk down the street from my garden. And, people would get the food, and it was beautiful. And then that's when I got the second, warrant that everything had to come out. And long story shorter is I fought city, and we got the law change where throughout the city of Los Angeles, the whole city, you can now plant food on these parkway strips, which you guys, the same thing can happen here. You guys have that land, and a lot of times in certain communities, that's the only land you have. But not only that, why not have a place where you could sit and you can just take in beauty that's right on the street, And I say beauty in, beauty out. If you put beauty in, that's what you're going to get out. So these neighborhoods, you got to realize that ugly is by design, just like beauty is by design. It all has the effect that is wanted. So if you have somebody thinking that their neighborhood is downtrodden and it's terrible and it's horrible and it's ugly and it's not healthy, guess what you're going to get out of that neighborhood? People that are downtrodden, they think they're terrible, they don't love their community, and they're going to trash it. But now all of a sudden you have something that's beautiful. You're going to get it's that simple. And I'm living proof that something is that simple because I've done it. My garden was the test ground, so now I get to come to places like New Zealand. It's just crazy. I mean, just think about how this affected me. I'm just some random black guy in South Central that plants a carrot, and all of a sudden you get arrested, and then all of a sudden you're speaking at the University of Sheffield in the UK because you planted a carrot. How lost? No, think about that shit. It's crazy. I mean, how lost are we that, oh my God, this black guy planted a carrot. We have to bring him, to Sao Paulo. We have to, I mean, think about that. Are we that lost? Are we that gone? Are we that out of touch with reality? Where did our values go? This is my whole thing with the food thing. Everybody should know how to grow food. Even if you don't, you should at least know where your food comes from. And most people don't. We trust these stores. How many times have you, been eating and you're watching the news and they said, if you're eating such and such spinach with the packaging label 47259, you should not be eating that because it's tainted with such and such. How many people have gone through this? And we got to realize that it's all about profits. It's not about people. It's profits before people, not the other way around. Not people before profits. And what I tell a lot of these corporations, and I talk to a lot of people, who are wealthy, and I tell them, 9 times out of 10, most of your money came from people below the hill, where you're on top of the hill, they're on the bottom of the hill, or the middle of the hill. So it would seem like if most of your money came from these people, that you would make sure that they're taken care of. Don't you want to take care of where your money comes from, since that's what you value? So I tell them, it's like, if you don't take care of these people, ask Marie Antoinette how that shit worked for her. And if anybody know anything about history, it didn't turn out that good. So I mean, it needs to be a little more balanced. No one should have to live on their knees for you to stand up. And that's what it is right now. And I didn't, when I started this, I had no plans to be here talking to you guys. I had no plans to be in Qatar. I had no plans, to have kids in India calling themselves Gangsta Gardeners and planting food and sending me pictures. I had no idea that they're like, oh, we studied you at the university in Jordan. I'm like, really? I mean, how could anybody predict this kind of stuff? So I am the least, I didn't want to be no activist. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart at all, and it's kind of weighty. But the fact that I get to see what I've done in real time, I get to see change that I have made in real time. I see seeds that I've planted that have bloomed, and I get to witness it in my lifetime. And to have people come up to you and say, hey, you gave me my father back, or I quit college because I heard you speak. And now that you made me realize my life's calling. We started this business. We have these community gardens around our city because of you. And we just took this a lot. I mean, I get to hear these stories, and it's beautiful. But people don't realize how much weight that puts on me. And that's why this is gangster. I mean, you got to realize that. Just think about if 5% of us start growing our own food. Some of our own food, even. Think of how much money that we're taking out of the system. See, people don't that's why this is gangster. People don't think about it like that. And that's the what I'm trying to do is show people value. Not the value that we've been trained to value. It's like With something like soil has value. Soil is a resource. We turn into soil. Think about it. We decompose just like a leaf and turn into soil. So why don't we respect soil? Nobody look. Why haven't we been trained to respect soil? There you go. You know, it's like we need to change that. We need to shift our mind and realize, like with kids, like with worms. I tell kids, okay, you got these worms, right? So you can make a worm farm, vermiculture. So, and a lot of times you can get worms for free. Some people give you worms. So now all of a sudden you give these worms your refuge, your leftovers. You put them in the worm bin and they turn it into worm castings, which is nothing better. This is worm poop, but they got a sexy name. They call it castings. And so these worm castings, but not only do you get the worm castings, now you collect the tea, all the juice from the worms. So it's called worm tea, which is one of the most potent things you can put on your plants in your garden. So now you have three things that you could sell that have a value that you got for free. So but we haven't been trained to look at these things like that. And the thing with this, you can name your own price because nobody else is doing it in your community. So these are the lessons that these kids need to, and people who are like, are waiting for somebody to do something for you. This is an investment that you could make. Even compost, if you could start community composting, where you sell that compost to other communities. And it's free, it's trash. So this is the thinking that I'm trying to place. It's like, and we must realize we're in these cities. And anybody here know what cities are made for? What cities are designed for? Anybody? We all live here. Don't you know why you live in the place that you live? Huh? Cities are designed for commerce. Period. That's what they're designed for. They're not designed for people. Because if they were designed for people, there would be a lot more healthy things to sustain us in these cities. But they're not. And nobody thinks of that. And like I tell people, like a lot of people, they get wealthy, and what do? Me and the missus is moving back to the country. Why is that? We made these cities and basically to be worker ants. We get on the freeway, the highways at the same time every day, and we go to where? Our cubbies, and you stay there, and you go back at a certain time when everybody else goes back. You're on the freeway. Look, next time you're on the highway, look at it. It looks like worker ants, Why is that? This can be designed a different way. And that's what I'm trying to get people to realize, that we can design the cities that are built for us, that make us healthy. And not just make other people's, not just for profit. And that's basically what we're doing. We're working to make other people profitable. And it's to our disadvantage, because a lot of times being here is making us sick. And so my message is it's real simple. If we all just go out and we plant some shit, we will make this planet better to live in, because we are increasing oxygen, we're sequestering carbon in the soil, but we're sitting around and we're letting corporations destroy us, thus destroy our planet. When you think about something like the plastics, we were told by a doctor that works for Kaiser. He's a researcher, and he said, like, all women of childbirthing age has BPA's in their body. So before you even know that you're pregnant, you've passed BPA's on to your to your unborn fetus. So you've passed plastics on to your unborn fetus. The fact that they've done a study in France that they said we're not decomposing the way we used to because of all the plastics in our body. So it's stuff like this. If we are a part of this planet, we are nature. It's not, oh, let's go up there to the trees and see nature. No, y'all ass need to look in the mirror and you will see nature. It's that simple. It's not us in nature. It's one and the same. A leaf falls for a reason at a particular season. It's made to do that. And that's the same thing with us. We decompose the same way that leaf does. You know, but we letting these corporations basically destroy us and our planet. And what are we doing about it? I'm trying to do something about it. Well, actually, hell, I'm doing something about it. But what are you doing about it? Just imagine if me, and I mean, come on. I'm a black guy. I got everything on the planet against me already. If I can do this, just imagine what we all could do together. These cities, like you guys, you need more. You should have more urban gardens here. Where's the council here? Why? I mean, you guys have this beautiful, beautiful island. You can set the example for the rest of the world. Why don't that be your goal? We're going to change for the rest of the world. They're going to look up to us. That should be your mantra. And it's that simple. And all you have to do is do it. Status quo is not working. How many people here know somebody with cancer or some other disease like that? Damn. But how many hands went up when I asked you guys about air? It's that. How many people, oh, this is a rare form of cancer. Oh, he's got a rare form. How many rare forms of cancer is there? We can change this. If has the council, you have an obligation to make your constituents, your city, everybody that lives here, you need to have them in a healthy, vibrant, happy, joyous, beautiful space to live in. Not where you have 26-year-olds with some incurable cancer because of what they've been eating or what they've been exposed to. I mean, it's not too late. You know, a lot of people give us the doomsday report. It's not too late, you know, because Mother Nature, she don't play. And you guys, I know you guys waiting for that earthquake. So I'm trying to get the hell out of here and go back to LA where we waiting for the earthquake too. But you got to realize when Mother Nature's tired of you, she's tired of you. Ask those clowns on Pompeii. You know, it's like, she's done. I mean, so we might as well, if we're going to be here, we might as well make this just, is enough for everybody. You know, we need to change this scarcity. Oh, the food scarcity. How are we going to feed everybody in the world? I don't need you to feed me. Show me how to feed myself. You know, they got this one thing. I don't like what you're feeding me anyway. You know, it's still, we're all enslaved. And that's what most people don't get. If you don't know where your food comes from, if you don't have a hand in your food, you are enslaved. It's that simple. So, I mean, this is, I can't, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I've seen people who have literally used this to change their lives, literally to the better. And I can't say enough of how honored I am that I've been put in this dangerous ass place to tell people this, you know, because imagine if we all get together and realize that we all have a stake in this, we all have a hand in this. Because if we don't, we're all gonna perish together. So what is your money gonna do for you? What is your diamonds gonna do for you? What did you have? Diamonds. That's another story. It's like, why do diamonds have value? Anybody? Come on, some of you guys have degrees, I know. Huh? No, not good marketing. Not good marketing. Not good marketing. Brilliant marketing. No, brilliant marketing. That's the only reason diamonds have value. And why? Why did we buy diamonds? Because De Beers told us to. And they told you, you spend 3 months' salary on your engagement ring. No, it's 4. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You spend 4 months' salary on your engagement ring. So what do? You go broke trying to put it. It's purdy. It's so purdy. Okay, so you got this, and most people don't see the brilliance in that marketing. All they say is your engagement ring. Anybody get that? Because they figure if you're getting engaged, 8 out of 10 times, you're going to get married. So they don't even, the brilliance in that is they don't even have to mention it. No, that's some slick shit. No, you got to admit it. So how do we take this kind of marketing and apply it to gardening? How do we make marketing just as sexy as diamonds? How do we make gardening self-preservation? How do we make self-sustainability? How do we make it just as sexy as, did you guys have Camel cigarettes out here? Do you remember the Camel? You remember Joe Camel? How do we make gardening just that the Marlboro Man? How do we take this shit and make like, oh yeah, I want to be him? You know, like maybe we should do that and put a carrot in a kid's mouth. He's on a horse and shit looking with his chest out, you know? How do we take these images? How do we take this brilliant ass, dangerous marketing and flip it? That's you guys' lesson. You know, how do we all of a sudden we have people, you know, like on the corner slinging seeds, organic seeds. Yo, got those seeds? Got those organic seeds? How is that not the new contraband? How can we make organic seeds the new contraband? Okay, see, there you go. There you go with that money shit again. It's not, but no, we're not talking about them. Now we're talking about us. We've been working for them for how long? Now we're talking about us working for ourselves. And these companies know that they have to change. They know it. I talk to them. They call me. It's like, hey, Ron. I'm like, I'm not wearing your T-shirt. I'm not hanging your banner. But, you know, I'll hear what you have to say. They know that the clock's ticking with all this horrible stuff because everybody's asking for stories with their food now, you know, or their product. And I'll go and I'll tell them, you know, and I'll deal with corporations because I'll tell them, you guys are the devil, but I'll spoon the devil. I'm not having full-on sex with the devil, but I'll take my socks off. And I tell them this, just like that. Okay, I'll take my shirt off. Damn it, I'll take my pants off, but that's it. And you only get a 1/4-inch tongue. And I'll tell them because they have the power to change all of this. And they realize they have to, and you got to realize that corporations are formed with people, and people have families. And even though they drink the Kool-Aids, their kids, they still have to care about their children. And they don't want their children to live a lot of times a life they have lived. Integrity is something, man. Integrity is major, and a lot of people, they don't have it. I mean, you think of people ask, okay, would you do this for $100? Would you do this for $1 million? And some people, well, shit. Integrity is not going to let you think of what you would do for $1 million because you know that's against your code. But people have, and that's when the drugs and alcohol come in a lot of times, because now they did something that was totally against their code, and now they have to live with it. So how do you live with, I got a Rolls Royce, but what did you do to get it? Did you do something that's counter to your code? You know, so integrity is everything. And I mean, I think if we teach these kids values, real values at an early age, instead of letting the media teach our kids values, we can change this planet. You know, but it's like we got to realize we all, when that earthquake comes, that's going to make everybody see one color, one life, one air, one planet. Why does it have to take something like that to do that? When we can start now, you know, we can preserve what we have already established, you know. So I just want to tell you guys I'm honored to be here, and I've been shown a very good time since I've been. I think they've worked me like an indentured servant for very, very little funding. But it's cool. I mean, the fact that I get to sit here, come to a country, and get to see you guys, it's a beautiful thing. And I mean, this is a hell of a job that I have that I had no idea that I was supposed to be doing. But the fact that anything that I do, I try to put my foot in it and make a difference. I don't want nothing to be ordinary. I don't want nothing to be common. I want I want people to go, damn, did you see what he did? You know, I want to create an effect. And that's what you guys need to do, the council with your communities. You need to create an effect that other people want to emulate. You know, to me, that's the only time is imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and things like that. Now, when you take my artwork and you try to put it on your shit, that's not flattery to me. But you guys do have an obligation to preserve your community. And but we all do. They can't do it by themselves. And you guys got to realize these people work for you. They pay your salaries. Just like going to school. You know, you got to realize that these teachers work for you, and a lot of people don't realize that. You know, and if they're not serving you the way you need to be served, you need to stand up and you need to shout out. And that's what a lot of us don't have. We don't. You just let it fester in you. And think somebody else is going to do it for you. But there's not a lot of other people out there. You are the one you're looking for. So make it happen. And you guys, I guess you got some questions that you guys want to answer me, because I'm done, kind of, sort of. Yes, sir. Hold on. Okay.
I think he was possibly about 8. And they buy 1.5 litre bottles of coloured sugar water from the supermarket for $1 each. And they walk through the hub, and I said to him, you know, that's a tool of the oppressor, right? And he looked at me and said, what do you mean? And I said, well, you know, what good is it doing you? You don't need to drink that stuff. And he turned to his mate and he said, oh, this guy's trying to counsel me. And I just don't know what to say anymore, you know. How do you break through that? And it's $1, and it lasts them half a day, and they're sipping on it all day. How do you convince them to buy a spinach?
And again, that's why I brought up the whole marketing piece. They spend a lot of marketing money on that $1 sugar water. So how do we market The opposite. How do we make, that's what I'm saying, that stuff to them is sexy. How do we make the spinach sexy? How do we make it affordable? And that's the goal. It's not me telling you exactly how to do it. No, that's collectively. How the hell do we do that? How do we use these brilliant marketing campaigns to change the culture, to change their mindset? You know, the same way that gangsta rap did. You know, I met guys in prison today that were affected by the gangster rap in the United States, and a lot of them are where? In prison, just like a lot of the people in the United States are in prison because of that, because they emulated a lot of the stuff that they heard, and this is how you become a man. This is what you do. I'm tough. No, it's not. You will get confined. You know, and to me, all that's by design. Who benefited? You know, so no, we have to collectively, how do you change that? I mean, a lot of times it's not going up to them like that. It's already having an alternate, you know, to give them. And you got to realize that this shelf space that a lot of these stores have, they pay for it, and they're in deep, you know. But again, you still have to realize that they understand that their clock is ticking, because the bottom line is we're running out of water all over the world. And so they know that they have to change, because if they don't have no water, they're going to be out of business. Anybody? Y'all finished with me? Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So, Ron, thank you for that brilliant focus on beauty and community and radical action. As a grandmother and a gardener, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. In my work job, I work in the health sector, and we know that all the effort of the GPs and the nurses and the hospitals and so on make about 20% of the difference in terms of health outcomes. Whereas where people live, where they work, where they play, what they eat, so on, that's the kind of stuff that actually really makes the difference. So my question, I can hear the burden you're carrying as well. So I'm also wondering about, in your community, can you tell us a bit more about what happened with the gardening and who else has grown as activists and champions for this? How's that kind of multiplier effect working?
Well, in my again, I didn't hammer nobody across the head and say, hey, you should be doing this. You put it there. Just like ants, when you put something that they like there, what do? So with my garden, it just became, you know, I think with my garden and then with the TED and different things, it just became a thing where people literally from around the world would just stop by. They would literally, without knowing the address, they would look at different talks and pictures, and they would piece something together, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden it's like, Ron Finley, are you here? And I'm like, it's Hans. Fuck, I don't know damn Hans. And it was like, from Germany. And it's like they would find me, and I'm like, how'd you, and they like, the Google, you know? So they would put pieces and films together and, in GPS, he's by the train, or he's that. And that's how they would find me. So in my neighborhood, a lot of people have started growing their own gardens, doing parkways. I had this one woman down the street, and quietly, she said she lost 100 pounds. And she put in a garden, and she said she attributed it to me and didn't say nothing. Just one day she came by and she told me. So I've seen a change. You know, right now my neighborhood is being gentrified, and so it's a big change. And but I have experienced it in cities around around the world. You know, it sounds insane to say to me. I did a artist in residence at the University of West Florida, you know, and all these kids that knew who I was, and I was there for a week. So I've seen the change, but in the community, I've definitely, it's not as vast as I want it to be. And it's terrible because now that it's happening, the community is changing, at the same time, and the people are being priced out of their homes. So that's happening, yeah. And but no, I do get to see how this has affected people. I see people bring their children by. I see this guy. His kid couldn't. He was an infant. He'd have him in his wagon, and he would point out different things. That's a banana tree, and that's an orange tree, and that's because I have from figs to bananas to on the street, literally. People like, you can't grow there. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's so I've seen it in real time. So yeah, it is a change. It is happening, and I think all we have to do a lot of times is expose people to it, because you got to realize that they're not being exposed to this. And I think that's the difference. If you just put it out there, if you just, bam, a beautiful mural, all of a sudden, that's going to attract, certain people, and it's going to change their perspective of what's possible. And I think that's what my garden does. It affected people to, this doesn't have to be grass. This could be a 20-foot sunflower. This could be, a flourishing grove of bananas. We can go outside and you can pick your meal right there. And I used to tell the boys, I'm like, you want to get a girl? You know what's sexy? For you to grow food. That's a panty dropper, I'm like, you grow the food, and then if you know how to cook it too, oh my God, it's winning. So, that's, how do we make gardening sexy? You do it. So, yes, sir.
Hi. Thanks, Ron. I work for the City Council, and people come to us about putting gardens in berms and verges and that sort of stuff. And we're always concerned about health and safety and possibility of people getting run over while they're tending the gardens, that sort of stuff. In your experience, have you had accidents with people or seen people get hurt from doing gardening in the community?
Oh my God. The city council, when they were fighting me against the garden, one of the guys told the Times, which is probably the biggest newspaper in the city, LA Times. He says, we're just worried about people, tripping over tomatoes. And I'm like, please don't give me that kind of ammunition to work with. Please, that's just too easy. Really? You want me to start with people tripping over tomatoes? It's like, no, people have accidents without this. This is not going to increase what you're going to do, you're going to decrease the medical insurance that you have to pay, okay, and they have to pay. It's like, and plus you're going to create a safer, more, what you're going to do with these gardens is build community. Because now she's sharing her food with him, and he's sharing his food with her. And now they know each other. It's not this scarcity. It's mine, it's all mine. Because they see, once you grow a garden, you can't eat all the food. You have to share it. So no, what you're doing with a garden, you're building community, period. And you're building neighborhoods, and you're building conversations. And now with that, you're building safety, because she's going to look out for your garden because she's vested in it. Because I'm waiting for them damn aubergines that he grows. So she's going to be looking out. So that's what you guys need to see. It's not just money. You got to look at it, people. How do we affect people first?
Last question.
Hi.
I've come over the hill from Featherston, and in Featherston they've started a pantry outside the medical centre, and it's just a little cupboard really, and anyone in the community can go and put any spare surplus produce in it, and the idea is it's fresh produce, and then anyone can go and grab what they need out of it, so there's no one policing it. And I just saw something the other day about it in South Auckland happening as well, and it just really inspires me that we are moving towards those sorts of solutions. Like you say, they're people owning their own solutions and creating community. And I just wondered if that happened where you were, setting up your gardens with the surpluses, were people starting to just create kind of spaces where everyone just shared their stuff?
It's been happening all over the planet, but with mine, you still have people that would never do it, but they want to share. But what I do have, I have people, I took some tomatoes and they'll leave $2 in the mailbox, so you have that. But also in that, you have somebody that's going to take damn near every orange off the tree. You have those people too, but do you let that stop you? Do you let that one person stop the movement? Do you let that one person stop the consciousness of what this could do for not just your community, but for the world? Because the fact that I'm here shows that this spreads, period. And you can't kill it. It's got to keep growing. It's got to be, like the what's those trees? The biggest natural organic. What's the populous? There's the aspens. The aspen trees. They're the biggest living organism on the planet, and they talk to each other. So that's how this should be. We should think of this whole movement just like the aspen trees. Thank you guys, really.